Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to St. Hill Reports. My name is Tommie St. Hill. With us this evening is Mr. Henry Nicholas, founder and president of the National Union of Healthcare Employees. Good evening, Mr. Nicholas. You have been a leader in the civil rights movement, the union movement, and the movement to help the middle class. What are some of the priorities and some of the problems that the union movement faces today?
Well, the first problem is not a problem, it's an opportunity for us to work aggressively to get President Obama re-elected in November, and that will continue the vision of organized labor, and that is a good America is when people are working, people have jobs, and people are building the middle class.
There has been an assault nationally on unions in several states. I think 13 states. There have been movements to decertify unions. Can you comment on that, sir?
It is more than the certified union. It is to stifle the aspiration of the working class. The union movement in America, history doesn't record it correctly, built the middle class. And without the labor movement in America, that cannot be a free democracy, and that cannot be a middle class. So the middle class and the labor movement goes together. Strangely enough, the labor movement was founded right here in Philadelphia, 6 blocks from where we are now. And we cannot let it die here. And that's why we're making our stand on August the 11th on the Parkway to send a strong message that the labor movement is alive. We intend to flex our muscles this year, and we intend to reinvigorate the middle class so that Pennsylvania and all of the states in the Union will have a rebirth in terms of building their democracy.
Can you elaborate on the events of August 11th? What's the purpose? Who will be involved? Who's organizing it?
The labor movement have, for the last 12 months or so, been demonstrating that 1, we are one, and 2, we are essential to a middle class in America. We are essential to a democratic society, and it is essential that we come together and demonstrate that kind of solidarity and that kind of commitment that we are going to work hard to make sure when the votes are counted on November the 6th, President Obama will be back in office.
How many people do you expect on Benjamin Franklin Parkway?
I think a mild projection will be over 200,000. It's an all-out effort by the entire labor movement in the state.
And besides yourself, what other labor leaders are involved?
Well, there's not a single labor leader in Pennsylvania who's not involved, because we know what time it is. And I'm not talking about what time it is by the watch, but what time it is in America. If we fail to unite for November the 6th, the labor movement is out of here. You've already saw a glimpse of it in places like in Indiana, in Wisconsin, in Ohio, and in all places in Michigan, in Florida, and all of the places where the right wing trying to stifle and stifle the last hope of working people in this country.
How important has the labor movement been to the middle class and to the makeup of the middle class?
It has been bigger than that. It's been at the main cutting edge of the democracy in the United States for years. There would not have been the middle class in America had not been for the labor movement. And we are at the crossroad now, and it's important that we reunite and strengthen our resolve that we must take back America for the working class.
You have personally just negotiated a successful contract for your union members. You explained it may be one of the best contracts that you ever negotiated. Can you explain, first of all, can you explain how many union members you have, and how important was that last contract that you just negotiated last week?
I represent thousands of workers in 14 states, but here in Pennsylvania I represent about 56,000 workers. I represent the 25,000 child care providers in Pennsylvania, the in-home service workers in Pennsylvania, and a number of the major hospitals in Pennsylvania, particularly here in Philadelphia. And the contract that we negotiated is a 6-year contract. I think it is a history-setting contract. It gives us the opportunity to help build all of those other infrastructures that I think is necessary to keep the solidarity and the cohesiveness of the middle class together.
Before you, there was no hospital workers union.
No, we gave birth to the Healthcare Workers Union here. We did not get there accidental. To us to have the union here, they were so anti-union that we had to pay in blood. One of my first staff members, Norman Rayford, got killed outside of Metropolitan Hospital trying to get the union in.
I remember.
So we paid in blood, and the union is special to our members, and that's why it is easy for our members to mobilize and unite and stand together.
Let's get back to some national items in terms of how important this presidential election is going to be for the middle class and for poor people.
I think the sad part about it is the right wing and the Tea Partyers believe that the worst part of Obama's president was what they call Obamacare. If you remember, presidents for the last 50 years were trying to get affordable health care. They failed. Obama was successful in his first term in office to get Obamacare through, and it is now law. And we believe that given another 4 years, he will emerge as the best president of the United States.
How important in layman terms is it to the average American to have health care?
Remember, it's real important because there are so many people in this country who don't have any coverage at all. Between 36 and 56 million Americans without a dime worth of health care. The Health Care Affordable Act gives those people real opportunities. And in an economy such as we have now, to be without health care is a serious indictment for a country with some of the best health care facilities in the world.
Let's talk about education. With all my guests, we had pre-conversation about education and the importance of education. They just hired another superintendent of school. Seems like it's the...
I don't want to go there because I didn't have any problem with Ackerman, who I believe that was one of the most visionary educators we've ever had. And I think they removed her for political reasons. The educational time that we find ourselves in, especially here in Philadelphia, is frightening. And because we are headed in a different direction, based on bad politics, not imposed somewhere in Mars, but delivered from the neighborhood. We ended up with a school system that is almost bankrupt today, the 11th day of July, and we don't see any way out. If I was one of those elected people in city government, I would not be on a 16-week vacation. I would be demanding that everyone return, give up 5 of those 16 weeks as a down payment to save our kids, and fight until there is in place a sensible resolve to the school district. They have all these gimmicks. First they had charter schools, and then they have cyber schools. Let me tell you my concerned about cyber schools. If Mother Jean Workhard is working 2 jobs to just pay for the upkeep, and she got a kid 4 years old, and he or she is given a computer with no support, that won't work. And yet there are operatives who are driven by economic needs and resolve, who are driving the bus to enslave that community. Cyber schools might be, it could be a workable solution if there's a support system that the kids will be able to survive when they're sit in front of a computer. But without any help, it won't work.
There's been 7 or 8 superintendents in the last, seem like 10 years. The lack of consistency in superintendents, how does that affect the school system and the education of our children? They just hired a new superintendent. I agree with you on Ackerman, but the lack
you know, there was a lot of them. Connie Clayton was a good superintendent. She understood. She had a touch and a feel for not only the population that the school district served, but she had a personal desire that for excellence. And I think Dr. Ackerman had the same feel. I think she could have provided a new vision for school survival in Pennsylvania had been given the choice, but she was politically assassinated and tossed out. And I think that was the beginning of the downfall of the Philadelphia School District. And I don't see it. You know, we just closed 46 schools in Philadelphia where too many of our kids are failing. Just laid off 3,000 teachers since January. Laid off all of the support staff in the school district, the people who clean the school, the crossing guards, the bus drivers. And how do we in a first-class city like Philadelphia justify that with all of our capacity, with all of the learned and ready to lead allegedly elected official? How can we justify it?
So what do you see as a solution? I mean, what would be your solution?
It'll take us several hours to lay it out there, but I have a vision what needs to happen. We need to elect elected officials not just to be paid, but who have a vision and wish to provide public servants as their #1 issue. Because it hurts me. I'm the largest parent in the Philadelphia School District, my members being the largest population of kids in the school district, have a problem. They just closed 46 schools and laid off all of the teachers, and yet they have a budget deficit that they won't get out from under within the next 10 years. And that spells disaster for the school population when if you're not educated in today's society, you can't make it. And yet in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they are building thousands of prison beds right now. And I see very clearly that the kids that we are failing going to end up there. There's no way.
I noticed in the last couple of years, or even before that, there have been grants. Even today in one of the local newspapers, there's grants to give $15 million to open a museum, $25 million to spruce up the Barnes Foundation, the Benjamin Franklin Parkway that didn't need sprucing up. I lived there. All of these grants, multi-million-dollar grants given to institutions, and not one going to the schools. But what does that say about society?
It doesn't say anything about society. It says something very specific about the quality of leadership that we've been selecting or electing, because it starts there. There is no reason that the school system should be in such a disarray when we recognize that in this period in history, if you don't have an education, you are a number headed to jail from day one. And education should be our #1 priority.
There's one of your unions that you're very close with, the Municipal Service Union, hasn't had a contract in, I guess, 6, 7 years. It's the first time in history that a union hasn't had a contract. How would you rectify?
Let me clear you, because you have a different vision of freedom than I do.
Go ahead.
Freedom is born out of vision and desire, and you get what you're organized to take. I would leave office if I had to make an excuse that my members had to work 4 years or 5 years without a contract. That's not leadership. If you got, the workers have a right to strike. The leader should stop complaining about my members haven't got a raise. If you believe that they are in need and you're ready to lead them, you should lead them. When I have a policy in my union that there's no contract, no work, and we never work 1 hour without a contract.
Okay, so that answers that question. So you're saying it's on the union leadership?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And if I represent the teachers with 3,000 teachers being laid off, 64 schools closed, a raggedy school budget, and all of the elected officials going on 16, 17 weeks vacation at the expense of the taxpayers, I would have taken over city government and run it myself while they were going and hope they would never return. If I was the mayor, I would have convened a meeting of all of the former mayors, Good, Rendell, Street, and get all the movers and shakers in Philadelphia and say we can't let the school system in this town where the nation was born, where the Liberty Bell is, it is a scar, a taint on the city if we can't do nothing for the education of our people.
Nationally, I think all the inner cities are having the same problems.
Not as bad as this one.
You don't think?
I looked at the budget. We have a 5-year critical mass that need to be fixed now. And nothing is more important than the education, because if you don't have a good education workforce, you can't compete.
Can you elaborate on that, on the budget, in terms of you saying we can't compete? Can you elaborate on that?
You can't compete if you don't have locally trained workers. We're in an automated, technological, high-tech society. If you can't make it in that society, you are a statistic going to jail. I met a friend of mine, he's now on the jail, one of the czars in the big jail. All of the jails in the country is now privatized. You have to get the right leadership, someone looking to lead, not to get a job to be paid. Straight up.
Okay. So how do you do
You
that?
can't just elect me because I want to go there. You want to know what you're going to do when you get there. Well, and I know all of them, and unfortunately I supported most of them. And my saddest hour have been the last 30 days when I observed when the school system is going down, they are going out on vacation.
That's a good point you made, Mr. Nicholas, because you have been very involved in politics. You have been very involved, you and your union, and selecting and help selecting and supporting the last 5 or 6 mayors and elected officials in city council.
And you won't hear me saying that they did it to us, whoever the they is. On this issue, we are doing it to ourselves. And that's why I'm so angered by the fact that we got all of those leaders from the communities from which the kids are suffering, and they are on a 17-week vacation. over the top. They should be here fixing the schools, even if they have to forget about their. If I was in the office, I would waive all my vacation and let it go to all. How many people you have in city council? If they all gave up that 17 weeks vacation, that'll be a good dent on keeping at least one school open. The politicians who look out for the people who they are elected to look out for just cut a deal on taxes in city council, right?
Right.
If I was in city council when the people came in and said we want to extend the present tax code for another year, I would have negotiated something for the kids in the school, because the people who are not paying just taxes, where I'm paying 4 times more than the people who got a 1-year waiver. A smart politician would have negotiated something with Squealer and all of those, and they're all my friends. Say, look, if you want to extend the tax situation for this population, give us something for the schools. That's what politics is all about.
You're right. You're right. So why don't you take a more active, active role? Because
remember, this community didn't elect me to do that. I play an active role on behalf of the people who elect me to represent them.
Absolutely, Mr. Nicholas.
And I'm never caught sleeping on the job.
Never. But you are very influential in the city. Politicians listen to you. Like you said, leadership.
No. Only because I am always trying to be helpful and have never ever asked for a political cup of coffee.
I understand that. But what I'm saying, as a leader, someone like you can convene a meeting with other leaders. They will listen to you in terms of having some kind of common solution. Because next in the fall, when council resumes, they're going to have to take up the deficit that the city is facing, that the school district is facing. The mayor asked for $94 million. He got
20.
Excuse me. Well, he got 40 million. That's going to still be there. The property taxes, that problem is still going to be there.
No, it's not.
That's not going to go away.
It's not going away. They fix it for a year. The people who wasn't paying their fair share can not pay their fair share for the next. The people who are overpaying, like people in my community, they have to continue to overpay for a year. But if there had been some smart politicians when that deal was cut, the guys who wanted to extend the tax for their districts, I'd have got something for the school, because they needed some money. If you give me that, then you should give us that. I think they could have cut the deal.
But some people are saying that that's not a given that city council, even after the delay of a year, is going to raise at AVI that property tax, that the votes may not be there. And so where's that going to leave the school?
The votes will be there if the people who desire to lead organize the people to get the votes. The politicians who serve in City Hall serve at the wishes of the people. If the people rise up, they will demand they take a stand on what they can get what they want. If you walk away from the kids, the future of the city, you are useless as a politician. You've rendered your worth to be in zero, in my opinion.
Well, if you go that route, there's quite a few names you can name.
No, I have a list longer than my own.
So, but what
I was pained this summer when they were, oh, we have to stay an extra week, and they should have gave up all 17 weeks to help bail the schools out. 17 weeks time, all the people who went on 17 weeks would have been a big part of saving at least 2 or 3 schools.
So you said they should have foregone their vacation and stayed.
And their vacation pay.
Okay. No, you can't do both. If they don't go on vacation, they get paid.
Yeah.
But if they do,
yeah,
they should have gave up. That's your position.
Right.
They should have gave up the vacation.
Right.
Which is not a bad idea, but
it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Especially when Rome is burning.
Right. Looking forward to the political situation, and I mean, how do you fix something? You have the same politicians, and I'm in city council a lot for one of my clients.
Because things are broken. I've been in Philadelphia for over 48 years, and I've testified in city council 3 times in this year.
I was there.
And I've never been in city council because in the past there was someone who understood what leading is all about. It's a leadership void now in the council, and it feeds on itself.
Giving some credit to city council, because I've been...
What's credit on what?
Well, I'm just saying, I've been covering city council as a reporter and as a consultant for, I think, the last 30 years. There are a number of council people who work very, very hard.
Where are they on the educational crisis? They are hard workers null and void if they don't have a vision about the future.
If you was a council person, or if you was the mayor, what would you do?
I would convene all of the people. They found the money to move the bond foundation, raise money for that. They can raise money for everything they need to raise money.
Correct.
They should raise money for the schools.
That was the point I was making when I said about all those grants, those multi-million-dollar grants. But none of them go to the school. One reason why I suspect is because if they give it to the schools, it won't be a tax write-off. But
the future of the city and the future of the next generation should be worth something.
I agree. And so where are we?
I'm not an elected official, and since I see you walking up and down the halls of City Hall, you should say, where are we going?
Right.
And why should we be here if we don't have no solutions?
Okay. So we got a lame duck mayor. Who would you like to see become the mayor? And what kind of next mayor?
I made my case to ask the question because I deemed all of them devoid of principle and destitute of honor for walking out on the schools.
Okay.
So there was times when I was out recruiting people to run.
Right.
And had a list,
Okay. Without naming a name, what the next mayor? What would you like him to be like? What would
him or her?
Him or her. Correct. Because it's going to get worse in terms of the city finances. If it stays the same, I mean, I've never heard of a union not having a contract. But you already
let me be bold about it.
Go ahead.
In North Philadelphia, North Central Philadelphia will be Society Hill North in the next 58 months, right?
Yes.
There are more shovel-ready projects going on in North Philly than any place in the United States right now. The city gave tax abatements for all of the builders across the land. They have hired one community worker, haven't hired one person from youth build, haven't used one hard hat, not one silk screen, dumped all of the debris in the streets. The people haven't paid any taxes because they pay in cash at the end of the day, so the city get none. City give a 10-year tax abatement. Where's the leadership? Something's wrong with that picture.
With that, Mr. Nicholas, we could go on and on. This has been a very enlightening and educational interview for our viewers.
See, I'm a citizen. I could live anywhere. I live in the heart center of North Central Philadelphia, so I see it.
I know you do, sir. Mr. Henry Nicholas, President of the Healthcare Employees Union, a good friend of mine and a leader of the city, I want to thank you for joining St. Hill Report.
Come back as soon as you get those politicians over city council on the right page.
And with that, my name is Tommie St. Thank you for joining St. Hill Reports.
Thank you.